And then the word Inagua is used, and I haven't looked really at the history of that word, but I think certainly the fact that these words, such as casala and other words, are used in other parts of Latin America to identify the same root would make us think that, in fact, there is a correlation, right? That word really was used by another population to define it, right? That would give us that. It would certainly give me that impression, although, like I said, I haven't gone and done the study of the history of these words. But I would agree with you that I mean, and there are a lot of other words that we find are consistent in places around the Spanish-speaking Caribbean, in the Dominican Republic and other places. They use the same kinds of words for certain things that we all attribute to an indigenous language or some indigenous languages. So I think that you're right. I mean, we also know that the criollos did make up a lot of words. Right? They did make up a lot of words. We know that for sure. But I would tend to agree with you that there's probably some of both was taking place. It wasn't just one, right? It wasn't just all one.
Doesn't he say that though?
I thought
He does.
The writer of the article does.
Schmidt, what's his name?
Schmidt Novara, yeah.
But he was just pointing out a counter argument that has been posed on his argument.
Right.
Right.
So I think it's pretty safe to say that there's some of both going on. That it's not just one, right? Well, we know for sure that the Creoles were inventing words. They were making words. A lot of it was to define things, and so a lot of these things were, for example, to name the landscape. So naming different kinds of trees, flowers, things, vegetation that didn't exist in Spain. They had to come up with names for it. So some of that was taken from the indigenous, and some of it they just made up new words for it. So, yeah, that's always an interesting thing to think about, though, because the language is so important. But that's then later used by the criollos as another way of when they were ready to fight for independence. Another reason why they needed their independence, right? This was another one of their arguments because their existence was so different. Right? And this is one way of constructing this idea of a national identity, because their reality was so different.